Let's go back to basics and use a fun stencil and masking technique to make a variety of cards using a couple of different methods. I originally designed these templates to be used with this stamping technique, but then I had an idea of how I could use the templates to use up some pattern paper. I don't know about you, but I have tons of it and I want to see it all turned into cards. Now, I know that this is another Easter card and we're ramping up to Christmas if you're watching this when it goes live, but hear me out. This is for Homemade Cards for Seniors Australia because we've already collected our Christmas cards so that we can get them into the hands of our seniors in 2025. And so now we're starting to work on Easter cards because it comes quite early in 2026. Let's get started with the stamping technique. We're going to do this in a positive and a negative, and I'm using 4 different shades of purple and 3 different shades of green, as well as these 2 Tracey Hay stamp sets. I'll link them down below. And I've just picked out all of the small leaves, the flowers, the little fillers, and a couple of hearts. For the first version of this, where I'm stamping inside of the stencil, I use my MISTI stamping tool. Now you're seeing this in like 30 seconds, but this actually took me closer to 50 minutes to complete because I wanted to use the MISTI, and the reveal, you know what, was totally worth it. For the masking version, here I have the little mask with some just rolled up washi tape behind it. I decided to see if it would be any faster and if the stamping would be less good if I used an acrylic block. And I've got to say the time difference was dramatic. This took me, I don't know, about 22 minutes to do. And honestly, this technique is kind of forgiving. So if something didn't stamp really, really perfectly, it didn't matter. I could add a lot of little filler techniques, and some of the little dots, I actually just used the stamp on my finger so I could put them where I want. I think the trick is to fill in those little tight areas and curves with solid stamps and very close together stamping so you can really see the defined shape. You can also do this with a background stamp or a stencil. Here I've used the Darkroom door knitting background, and I've got to say I kind of love it. Now let's try the patterned paper technique. I trimmed down a piece of 12 by 12 paper to A4, and by the magic of television, it's magically printed. This is the template. I just printed it on the back. There is a little bit that's left over, but I can make some cards out of that. I have given you this template in 2 orientations, where the bunnies are looking to the left and where the bunnies are looking to the right. On my finished cards, I want them facing right, so I have printed the template where they're looking left. You can cut the bunnies out first, then trim them apart, or you can trim them and then cut the bunnies. The 12 by 12 was a little longer than my Australian A6 card, but it's easy to trim that off later, not a problem. And this is the very bare basic card, but we are going to step it up. The only thing I'm going to use extra in this card is some ink. I'm using Salvaged Patina Distress ink, just with a very basic blending brush, going around the cutout bunny. And for the panel, the full panel with the negative bunny space on the inside, I'm just inking around the very, very edges. I've got it on a grip mat here. Gotta say, I'm loving that for the inking. Holds the ink pad. Really, really like it. And this just gives it some definition around the edge. Add a sentiment and you still have beautiful, simple Easter cards. But what if we were to step it up more? Well, we totally can do that. Well, for this, I thought I would use more of the green that I had been using to matte my sentiments. Speaking of sentiments, they come from the All Occasions stamp set by Darkroom Door, and I'm just applying some liquid adhesive around the back. I'm just going to use my rabbit that's been cut out just to make sure everything fits, and it's just a space underneath. Now for my other rabbit, I tried this die cut both ways. Honestly, I just found a die cut that worked with what I had left over, and I've inked around the edge of that, inked around the edge of my card base, and now we have this extra oomph of color for these cards, stepping them up a little more. Now what if we want to step it up even further? For this card, I busted out the embellishments. I have a lot of embellishments. I use some clear dots, some paper flowers, ribbon, and a gem. For this one, I went really overboard. This is not my usual style of card, not in the slightest, but I thought this has to be done. I used a gigantic flower. I die cut a bunch of foliage pieces. It's an Altenew die set. I will pop the name of that one down below. Just kind of colors, whites and greens and teals that worked with the paper. And while this isn't anywhere close to my usual style of card making, I kind of love it, and it still has not even made a dent in my embellishment box. I guess I'm just going to have to make some more cards. Oh no. Now, I know that I fast forwarded through a lot of that because if I was to show it in real time, I'm sure you'd get super bored because I make cards quite slowly. That said though, when I figure out how to plug in my overhead camera, I will probably revisit this technique and do 1 or 2 cards live. So while you're waiting for me to get my technical ducks in a row, go grab yourself a template, make some cool bunny cards, and I will see you next time.